be here.
You want to put another challenge in front of me? You want to keep going with this shit?
Please push me a little harder.
Yeah, we're gonna go all day. Like, I thrive with that shit, like, because that's motivation to me.
Buenas, welcome to Coffee with Coco. I'm your host, Ariana Nieves, and I'm here with my boy Kip over here at his storefront. So let's talk about it, Kip. You've officially launched. Tell me more about your brand. Let's talk about the name, how you got started, why you got started, and the official launch of the storefront.
Okay, so my brand is Last Place Winners. I started in 2018. I came up with the idea in 2009. Okay. So more or less I was in school trying to figure it out and like not really wanting to be in school. And I just always felt like the underdog, so I'm like, Last Place Winners is perfect for me. If you associate or you feel like you've been an underdog in life, or like people counted you out, you know, the last shall be first, always.
Amen.
You know, so at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you might be in last place right now, but you're gonna win. That's why I always put the turtle with like the fire emoji behind it, because he's speeding. Like the turtle isn't just crawling, he's speeding out this motherfucker. You get what I'm trying to say? So,
absolutely.
you know, like that's what Last Place Winners stands for. I sat the idea down. And like fast forward 2016, I'm working with my cousins over at Suvaz, and I dropped the Fuck Trump tees, and those did well. But then for some reason, you know, everything didn't work out with the store over there, so you know, it kind of slowed down. And I picked it back up 2018. I was just like, yo, you bullshitting with this idea, like, you know. So I went and got my LLC. I started my business, and then my first drop, I dropped the Hellraiser tees, right? Because I had wrote this poem or whatever. I put it on the back of the tee. Like a lot of people didn't know I wrote that, so I'm like, all right, cool. But I had like 60 shirts. In the first like 7-8 months, I didn't sell anything, right? Because I'm thinking, like, people won't know you have something unless you show them that you have it. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, people can't just reach them out and be like, yo, you got these 60 t-shirts, yeah, come cop it. Like, no, you gotta advertise it, you gotta put it out there. And I just came home one day and I'm looking at these shirts, I'm like, yo, these shirts been sitting there mad long. I sold like 1 or 2 of them. I'm like, you know what, let me really just get these out there. So I went outside and I was just like, you know, going direct to consumer, like going straight to the people, touching the people, feeling the community, and it's moving it around. And I just sold all my shirts, you know. So from there, I dropped a few more designs, and then like a year later, I came up with the Respect Women Worldwide. So we got all of this over here, Respect Women Worldwide.
Let's pull one. We want to see it. Let's see how it looks.
We got the new crew necks that we just dropped recently. So
that's
like, these are going crazy. This one is almost sold out. We're about to restock this, and we got the everyone's favorite hoodie coming soon, you know, probably in like a week or 2. You know, the Respect Women Worldwide ones. These are the ones from last year, but we're gonna do like a newer vibe. We're gonna switch it up a little bit, you know. But for the most part, like once I dropped that, it was like off to the races. You know, it was just crazy after that. Like people were saying, oh, yo, I need the hoodie, And then I realized like my selling power when I was selling hoodies in weather where it wasn't hoodie weather. So it's like not fall, but it was like summertime. I'm still able to sell hoodies. I'm like, yo, this shit has like power to it, you know, and then it allowed us to do a lot of humane efforts too. So like, you know, every Thursday, like we try to feed homeless and donate to Women's Risings around the corner on Fairmont, you know, so stuff like that, you know. But for the most part, it's just been a journey for real, especially with like COVID and everything like that.
Of course. So when did you officially launch the storefront here?
The store opened February 20th.
So literally, we went into lockdown March 7th.
Yeah.
So how did you
I had a month
adjust?
in a week. I had a month in a week. So I just got back to the basics. I was online for 2 years. So we just treating this like a fulfillment center. So we just fulfilling orders and just like, you know, making sure everybody get their stuff. You know, it's just back to the basics. Like back to what I'm already accustomed to, because you gotta understand I was running a business out of my living room for like a year.
Let's talk about it.
Alright, so listen.
Let's talk about
For
it.
a year and a half, I was very uncomfortable in my house, right? Because I didn't have a living room. I couldn't sit on the couch, post up, watch TV. I had to stand around, and then it was like stock shelves all through my living room. So I turned my living room into my maker living room, because like prior to LPW and me doing all this, I had a gig that promised me. They're like, oh yeah, keep doing this, work hard, you're gonna get a raise, and we're gonna do this for you, and we're gonna promise you this and this and that. And I was like, yo, you know what? I need this raise. I'm gonna do my thing, and they're gonna move me up. and they played me the fuck out and fired me, right? And I said, I'm never gonna be expendable again, so I'm gonna create a situation where I can work for myself. So the first year, we did like okay, you know? But then the following year, I made 3 times what I was making at that job. So that just showed that I have like, if I apply myself, I could do well, you know? And then you don't have to depend on nobody to give you a handout. You can create your own world, you know? So that's what we did with the first 2 years. I was in my living room trying to figure it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's something that I feel like a lot of people overlook. They feel like, again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, they see the end product and they think that's what you got. You did
Nah, they think you did it overnight, and that's never the case. Like, you put in work for this, like, you know, so you gotta treat your business like your child.
It's a fact.
You know? And also, you'll never get rich surrounded by broke customers by Don Q. He said that too.
Ooh, yeah, you gotta support.
Like,
always support your local community.
Yeah, like, no, not just your local community. Support your fucking friends. If you can support your friend at a bar and say, here goes a drink, you can support them in some shit that they believe in.
Ooh, let's get into
Yeah,
it.
come on, let's get into that. Let's talk about that.
Let me
Stop.
But it's a fact. You're 100% right.
Yeah, like, you know, shit like that happens, and then it's an eye opener because I learned that you get more support from people that you met yesterday.
And you know why? And I talk about this a lot too. And as new entrepreneurs, I think it's something that we have to eat because, you know, I've been through the same thing as an entrepreneur. But just knowing that people that you've been around your whole life, unfortunately, a lot of the times, they only see you for who you were. New people, they see you for who you can be. Yeah,
see me as I am, not as who I was.
Exactly.
You know? Like, because I'm growing every day.
Absolutely.
You know?
So what I think that's really dope that you brought up is the fact that you made a decision to switch it up from your normal 9-to-5 mentality to be a full-blown entrepreneur. Yeah. So was that a scary jump for you to take, or you was just ready?
No. Because I look at it like this, right? I don't have kids right now, right? But I do plan on having kids, and I plan on having a family, right? My dad, like, he talks to me about his job all the time. And my dad's been working his job for like 26, 27 years. My
father was on the same tip.
You get what I'm trying to say? And they tell you how much they hate their fucking job and they don't want to never go back and they hate the people there and they just don't want it and this and that. And you can't pass your job on to your kids. Like, you can't be like, oh, yo, I'm about to die, here goes my job. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you can't do that for your kids. Like, but you can pass a business on to your kids. You know, you can create a future for your kids to carry on and carry a legacy. Yes, you can do that. Absolutely. But you can't pass on a job.
Absolutely.
You know, so like I try to at least give people the platform, especially if they're doing something on their own. You know, I utilize my space as your platform. You know, I don't charge people to do pop-up shops.
Wow.
You know, if I like the brand and I align with it, do a pop-up shop. Because I had people that tried to charge me mad bread to do a pop-up shop, or try to like scout my ideas. Like, oh, what do you plan on doing? So what's in your mind? Let me pick your brain, and then try to do it themselves. But it's never gonna be like my shit. You know. Absolutely. Like, people try to copy what you got going on, but it's never gonna be your sauce. No. You know, like, it's my flavor. Like, you can't.
Nobody can do it like you.
Yeah, you can't duplicate my flavor. Like, my in and out and my crossover is way different.
Let's talk about
like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, come on, like, I'm gonna hit you with that little drop step. You're gonna be tight. You know.
Of course.
You could try to do it, but it ain't gonna have that swagger like mine.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Somebody can be doing this. Anybody can start a clothing brand. Nobody's gonna start it the way you do it.
Yeah. Right? Nobody can manifest a vision because they can't see into your head.
Of course.
So like, all right, so. It was this like this short story, right? And I mention this all the time. It was 2 dudes, right? A guy got hurt, he ended up in the hospital, right? So they put him in a bed next to another guy that had like a curtain around him. So every day the guy would talk about how beautiful the view was outside the window, right? And he was like, yo, I love the view, it looks amazing today. So the guy eventually started looking forward to hearing how the view was from the guy next to him. So he would ask him every day, how's the view looking? He says, it's beautiful, sunny skies, birds singing and everything. And then eventually he got like a little malice to him. He started hating. And the first chance he got, like, he reached over and he pulled this plug out, right? And then the nurse came and they saw that the guy passed away. They took him out the room. And then a day or so later, he said, can I get the bed next to the window? She said, oh, no problem. She moves him over to the bed next to the window. He pulls back the curtain. And it was a brick wall. The guy was blind, you know? Wow. So at the end of the day, you might think that you're going to be able to do something or have something the same way that person has it, but you don't understand what they go through for it or what they see in their own vision. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
Like, it's not, what's meant for you is meant for you. What's meant for someone else is meant for them. You know what I'm trying to say? You got to focus on what's meant for you and what makes you happy. You can't sit there and say, all right, this person is doing that, and I want that exactly the way they got it. No. You know what I'm trying to say? Because it might be a brick wall that they're looking out that window.
That was a dope story.
Straight up, like, they might be seeing a brick wall. It's crazy.
You never know. Yeah, it's always through your perspective. But I do want to bring it back. Any small business entrepreneur, local entrepreneur within Jersey City, your boy Kip has a space for you to do a pop-up. Please, let's connect with each other. Let's do this together, right?
You want to do a pop-up, y'all can come through free of charge. You know, as long as it makes sense, everybody is like following proper protocol, you know, and respecting the space most of all. You know, come do your thing. Because people didn't give me the platform to shine, you know? So at the end of the day, I feel like people will remember the fact that, all right, this guy looked out. You know what I mean? Because you never know what somebody might turn into.
Oh,
you know?
Absolutely. You never know who you're talking to. That's a big...
Yo, Drake, he said, reintroduce the people I've been introduced to. Did you forget me? That's a real thing. Some people might start off here, it might be like a little person, or they're not doing like major things yet, and then 5 years later, they're blowing up and they're doing like crazy shit. And you're embarrassed to say that you know this person because the way you met them, like the terms you met them on, you might have did wrong by them. You get what I'm trying to say? So you always got to give people the platform to like shine and get forward in life, you know?
And also, you brought it up yourself as well. We're growing every day. So that means who we were, we learned from those lessons and we take it in our life forward. So you can be humble enough to know that, you know, I wasn't the person that I was 5 years ago when I first met you, but I'm happy to be back at it, right? We can always reintroduce ourselves. So one thing that I think I found really dope about you is that you have this innate talent just to adapt and adjust, especially starting your own business, your own storefront right at the top of COVID.
Yeah.
So what would you say would probably be one of your biggest adversities that you really just had to overcome and push through, and now you're at where you're at right now?
My biggest adversity is
We can cut this part out while you're thinking.
It's a lot of adversities you face being an entrepreneur. It's a new adversity every day.
Amen.
You know, you got to figure it out. Like, you know, I don't have any investors or anybody behind me backing me, so it's just me backing my ideas. So, you know, I take the risk of producing and creating with the risk of nobody liking it ever.
Of course.
You know, but I like it so much. I'm so confident in my shit that it's just like people like, oh yeah, yo, I fuck with it. You know, it could be some regular shit, and I just really fuck with it so much that people just tend to attract to it.
And that shines through your pieces.
Yeah, you know, but that's the risk that we take being entrepreneurs. We take the risk of throwing a party and nobody comes. You know, so you know, creating and doing things you love, it's always gonna be a passion behind it. So it's like it's not much of an adversity, but it is like. It is challenging, you know, on top of the fact that I opened my store a month before COVID, and I had to pay. I didn't get no grants, nothing like that. I didn't do grants or nothing like that. You know, we were able to pay all the bills up to now.
Thank God.
Through the months that we were closed and everything like that. And that was an issue for a lot of businesses because you see like big brands and big companies closing.
Tons.
And little old me, we still here. You know, we're trying to figure it out, of course, and we're trying to grow. And that kind of set me back because it was like a lot of events that I wanted to do. Like I wanted to like show people the culture around the brand, cause it's fun. Like we want to have fun. Like look at this shit. Like we brought nature indoors.
I see it. I'm a plant mom, so I love it. Like
we brought nature indoors. Like we didn't do the regular racks, the metal tube racks and stuff like that. We was like, all right, you know what? I built this in probably an hour.
Wow.
Like I literally went up there and built this. Like
wow.
You know, and I said, you know what? The display is gonna be different than most stores. I'm not gonna do it the same as most stores. You know, cause I get tired of seeing that shit. You go into the store, you see the same display, the same layout. All right, let's give me something different.
It's not your brand. That's what makes it. Nobody could do it like you. Just like you were saying, nobody could do it like you. Because honestly, entrepreneurship, it's 70% mindset, 30% hard ass work. The highest grossing CEO and the homeless man on the corner, they both could teach you something.
Yeah,
always.
Because you strip a person of all the material things, and who are they? You know, like you got to be a good person at your core, minus all that material shit. Like you know, like I could like. You could give me a bunch of scraps and I could make something out of it. Like, you know what I mean? You remember how Biggie said, like, yo, you could throw me in the jungle, I'll come out with a fur coat and dancing. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, so you got to make the most out of what you have, out of your resources, you know? And at times, like, in my life, I didn't have many resources, so I had to work with whatever I had at that moment, you know? And I was able to do well and get to this point, you know? Like, I remember when I first, like in college, well, after school, you know, like I was dead pops. I had $50. I went to the Unique on Thursday when it was 50% off and racked up on Champion hats, jackets, and shirts. Like, I mean, and jerseys. And I came back and I flipped them. And that was my hustle for a little bit. I'm going to the Unique on Thursdays when it's 50% off, buying all the fly shit, bringing it back to the town, because a lot of dudes wasn't up on thrifts back then. Mm-hmm. And that's how I was eating, you know? So you got to make the most out of what you're given.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like people throw their cards in too early. Play your cards, figure it out. You know, you might have to bluff a little bit, you know, and then you might win that hand.
It's the point of building, like just I feel like as an entrepreneur, just the passion to just get started and to do, it's normally the hardest part. Like you said it yourself, you launched and then, you took a break for a second. It happens. As entrepreneurs, like we have to work through that, and we learn through all of our adversities. We learn better, we apply it in the future, all that good stuff. One thing I do want to talk about is this whole line that you have with the respecting women. What was the concept behind that?
Alright, so I was reading an article about the women of New Delhi, right? And they were saying like how they face like so much adversity and they go through all the things that they go through over there. And then at the end of the article, the guy said, you should respect the women of New Delhi, right? And I was like, that's not just the women in New Delhi. I'm like, you gotta respect women worldwide, because it's like women go through stuff all through the world, you know? Not just New Delhi, they go through it in every continent. You know what I'm trying to say? So you respect women worldwide, and I wanted to give that to young black men. Like that's what it was for, young dudes that look like me. Like originally, like that was my target demographic, because when you create these things, you create these designs, you think of a person that you would want to wear.
An audience, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted young black dudes to rock. Respect women worldwide, because black women like deal with a lot, but that's because of the people that are controlling our culture. You know what I'm trying to say? Like a lot of people that like like most young black guys, like black people period, they look up to entertainers. They look up to the Beyoncés, they look up to the rappers, they look up to Jay-Z, all these different people, and a lot of times the things that they're pushing, they're not in control of what they're marketing to us, like the consumers, because we're eating that shit up. So you got dudes, Molly Percocet, shit like that, you know what I'm trying to say? And now you got dudes running around, Half Perks all day. You know what I'm trying to say? In my community, I see people that I know personally, Half Percocet all day.
Or passing away from it. We just talked about that prior too. It's real. We're experiencing it every day. We're sitting in our own communities.
But we're the consumers of the things that's being marketed to us. And then you got to understand that the people that are controlling the culture and controlling these artists aren't of us. They're not black people a lot of times. Like Dame Dash talk about it all the time. Like, how do you have so much say in a culture that isn't yours? Like, how can you tell me, a black man, what's dope to black people? You know what I'm trying to say? Because it's a business, and I understand that, but you also have to take culture back, and you got to say, listen, we're not going to do that shit no more. We're not with this stupid shit no more. Because at the end of the day, that shit is not cool.
And it starts with us. It starts at home.
Yeah, definitely. So I was like, you know what? Let me see young black dudes in my community rock and respect women worldwide, because that transcends into your energy. Nobody's perfect. You know, everybody goes through times in their life where they're like, oh, yo, I got to work on who I am and grow. Of course, yeah, that's everybody. Everybody's a work in progress. But for the most part, you got to start somewhere. You know? Absolutely. And if you start somewhere and you do right and you continually do right and you work on it, eventually, like, people might look past, yo, this dude was Half Percocet and doing all this dumb shit. You know what I'm trying to say?
Of course.
Yo, he made a major change in his life. That's like the drug addict that comes through and he's like working a job or he got like his life together. You know what I'm trying to say? You got to start somewhere and like change the narrative, because like,
ooh,
that shit's
say it louder for the people in the back.
You got to change the narrative. Like, that's what I try to do mostly. I try to change the narrative. Because most of the time, people will see me walking down the street. Like, it's been plenty of times, people have judged me. I can show you a perfect example. For my grand opening, everybody that came said this was the most diverse event that they've been to in their life. Wow. We had black people, white people, Spanish people, Asian people, gay people, straight people. You know what I'm trying to say? Artistic people. You know what I'm trying to say? Street people. All types of people filling up this space. And it was all love. It was no issues. So I'm like, yo, this dude just like pass judgment on me. I could be a dickhead and like feed back into that energy, or I could just say, you know what? Reintroduce the people I've been introduced to. I'm gonna see you on different terms later. You know what I'm trying to say? And then you might just be eating your words. You know, because a lot of times it's not the best thing to pass judgment on people. You know, that's the worst thing you could ever do, is because you don't know what a person been through or where a person came from. Because I just told you guys my journey. You know, started in 2009. I was in school, didn't finish. I'm a college dropout. I dropped out of school. I still have student debt. You know, I paid one of my student loans, God willing. But for the most part, you know, I'm a person that they will label as a loser. I'm a failure, you know, and I was able to make something of myself. So, you know, for the people that pass judgment.
In your own name.
Yeah,
ownership,
in my own
equity.
name.
And that's a big thing that...
With no handouts.
With no handouts. Self-made, self-paid, okay? And that's a big thing that I always want to discuss, because reality speaking, there are zero shortage of entrepreneurs within our community. Yeah. If you really think about it.
Everybody's an entrepreneur. Carter G. Woodson said it. He said, you know, the plight of the inner city won't change until people understand the significance of selling peanuts and bananas. You know?
And we do it every day.
Foreigners understand it. They come and they'll drive the cab or they'll open up a bodega or a corner
sell
store.
plates out the crib.
Yeah.
Anything.
You're trying to say they've been doing that. They've
Anything.
been understanding the hustle. But now we're picking up on it. And then I think a lot of people are afraid of that. You know, like a lot of people, because look at industry. Industry is changing. A lot of these major corporations and businesses are closing down. Like in the city, people of color, everything like that. Like we have the buying power. We're the biggest consumers. We don't really produce much. We purchase everything. So if we're buying it from ourselves, we're keeping everything in the circle. These big corporations can't really munch like that. So they got to kind of like wear a mask to get back in. You know?
It's not really who they are.
Exactly.
And again, nobody could do it really the way you do it. So there's no true intention behind it. That's what separates your brand from a lot of other
Like, what do
things.
these billionaires do for inner city people?
Of course. And we're sitting here right now, both of us born and raised in Jersey City, growing up here, and we see what's happening. I'm a realtor in the area, so I know the gentrification is happening. And the fact that we have now, if you speak with each other, success is tribal, the opportunity to wash our own neighborhood, then why not do it? Support each other, support our local small businesses so that we can start owning these storefronts instead of renting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things of that nature. So this conversation was super fire. You spread so much knowledge. There's at least one person on this platform right now watching you, inspired by you and your journey. So if there's any bit of advice that you could give to them, what would it be?
It's more than one piece. Believe in your ideas. Like only you know what you could do with your talent and your ideas. You know your true potential. Nobody else really knows your true potential. So people could have an opinion and be like, oh no, you can't do this or you can't do that or you should do this. It's your life. You live one time. You know, you got one shake of the dice. You got to make that shit a head crack. Like, you really just got to go out there and put on. You know your potential. Don't let somebody say, oh, your dream's not, your idea's not it, or you should be doing this, or this, and that. No. Do what you want to do and what makes you happy. You know, push your idea. It's going to grow. It's going to be people that associate with your idea. Everybody's not going to fuck with it, pardon my language. But the people that do are the people you focus on. You know, you create your audience. Like I created my own world with this, you know? Like I want people that feel like me and associate with my vibe and how I carry myself and like the stuff I'm into to be a part of Last Place Winners, you know? It's not a cult, but it is kind of like, you know, because people, I found my tribe, you know? I used to be the dude coming through, riding a skateboard or whatever, snapback hat in the hood. And dudes just look at him like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, but it's a lot of people like that now. So it's kind of like you find your tribe, you know? But for the most part, like, that's what you got to do. You got to push your ideas and believe in yourself. Everybody's not going to believe. You know what you're capable of. You know what you could do. Don't let nobody tell you what you could do. And just do it. And don't forget how they treated you. Because you're going to get a lot of that. You're going to get a lot of people that's like, oh, yo, you can't do this, and that. And then later on, fast forward, I did all this hard work, I bust my ass, I achieved it. I'm getting close to the finish line, because the finish line, you'll never achieve the finish line. The finish line, as soon as you get close to it, you're going to push it back further. You're going to be like, nah, I'm going to do this with the finish line, so let's put this over there. And then you're still going towards it. But once you get close to achieving everything you want to achieve, those same people that was like, oh, no, I don't think you do. They can be like, yo, I remember when you first did, I believed in you. No, you fucking didn't. You didn't believe. I believed in myself, and I made this happen, you know? So believe in yourself, more important than anything else.
Amen. I don't even have nothing to add to it. Thank you so much, Kip, for doing this interview with us,
Nah,
jumping on this platform.
Thank you for giving us the platform to, you know, advertise ourselves and show ourselves to the world and let people get the narrative and understand who we are, you know?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate
No doubt,
it.
no doubt.
But catch the whole interview. Guys, down below, come through, support your local small businesses. To see Last Place Winners over here on Monticello, the address is below. The ad is below to follow them on Instagram. And we will see you guys next time.
Look like if I'm doing too much, I should just keep it regular, you feel me? Because, you know, when the camera come out,
You know how that.
when the camera come out, you feel me? I gets in my bag, baby. I just want to let you know that you're beautiful. Have a blessed day. You know what I'm trying to see? I hope to see you soon, you know? Shit like that.
Word.